I'm Millie Weaver, and you're watching the Millennial Millie Show. Well, President Trump's home was raided by the FBI, his home in Mar-a-Lago in Florida, and this is allegedly due to classified documents being at Mar-a-Lago. That is what the allegation is. Now, let's take a look at this story and what happened here. At 9 a.m. on Monday morning, President Trump, his home was raided by the FBI. This is an abuse of justice. This is abuse of the powers that the FBI holds. When do you ever see the president being raided? This is historic. This is monumental. You never see this happen, but because it's President Trump, because you have corrupt individuals in the FBI, corrupt individuals in the DOJ, and even the Biden administration wanting to try to do anything they can to get rid of President Trump. That is why we are seeing this abuse of power. They want to stop him from being able to run in 2024. They know that President Trump is planning to run in 2024. So you have the Biden administration, who was formerly an election opponent to President Trump. He ran against President Trump. He was a competitor to him, who's now in the White House. And now it seems that he knew about this FBI raid. In fact, there's no way he didn't know about it. And now he's allowing this to take place under his watch while he's president. And of course, this is to target his political opponent because the Democrats are panicking right now. They know that the Biden administration's, their polls are doing horrible, and they know that President Trump is polling very well right now, and he has remained strong throughout this entire time period, even when they've been trying to go after him with their January 6th Select Committee clown show, which was a big fail and flop on their part because American people are more worried about why their gas prices are so high, why the price of food is so high, why inflation is high, and meanwhile the Democrats just keep printing more money and wrecking the economy more and more. So this is disgusting. This is disturbing. I didn't think I would see it, but they never cease to amaze me with their corruption. President Trump supporters, after finding out that President Trump's home was raided after Trump announced it on social media, they gathered outside his home in Mar-a-Lago to show their support for him because the American people are outraged. They're outraged that their president, who many of them voted for, I would say over half of America voted for President Trump, and he should probably be the rightful president right now as we speak if we were to actually crack down and make sure we had free and fair elections and didn't allow all these mail-in drop boxes. But these people are clearly upset. But I think that this is the goal. I think the goal here is they want to incite the conservative base. They want to incite the Trump supporters. They want to recreate another January 6th-like event so they can further demonize conservatives, to further allow for the targeting of conservative individuals by the corrupt organizations like the FBI. You think it's really just about Trump? You think that they're just coming for Trump? No, they're coming for you and me. They're coming from all of us that are willing to stand up against their Marxist, communist agenda. They are after us. That's always what it has been. And that is what Trump has been trying to point out over the past years. And many American people understand this. And I think that is why so many people flooded outside of Trump's home in support for him after finding out about this overreach, this abuse of power, this targeting of their president. So take a look at this video footage here. You see all these people who, in a blink of an eye, ran out there to go show their support out front of Mar-a-Lago. The American people are not going to stand for this miscarriage of justice. They're not going to stand for political witch hunts and targeting of the 45th president of the United States. This is historic in that there's never been a president who has been raided by the FBI. You didn't see this happen with Obama with his Fast and Furious scandals, all of his many scandals. You didn't see this happen with the Clintons and their many scandals. And right now you have the Biden administration, you have Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family, who seems to just get away with anything. I mean, you actually have the president's son, Hunter Biden, his entire contents of his laptop has been handed over to the FBI, to the DOJ, and they have done nothing with it. There are many evidences, let's just say, of crimes being committed in that laptop by Hunter Biden, and they won't do anything. They won't touch it. It's rules for thee and none for me. That is their motto. They are targeting their political opponents. And just in case you had any wonder or any doubt that this wasn't a political witch hunt, that this wasn't just to try to stop Trump from running in 2024, take a look at this article. The time is running out. The Department of Justice must indict and convict Trump. If Trump or any of the likely Republican nominees win in 2024, they will immediately move to protect those who attempted to overturn the 2020 election. So I would say that statement kind of indicates that there's an obvious plot or plan to go after those who denied the 2020 election, those who dared to speak up about the inaccuracies, the violations of the voting laws that were just, completely thrown to the wayside. Because remember, it was all in the name of COVID, right? Which I can only anticipate what's coming this fall if they're going to try to do more COVID lockdowns. We've already seen some of this stuff starting to pick up pace again with, some groups saying, oh, we need to start wearing masks again, etc. And if they go that route, I hope this time around the American people will definitely see through it. But this is all very dramatic in that President Trump is anticipated to announce his run for the 2024 presidential election soon. So this is very obvious that this is targeted. And many people, I think, at first assumed that the FBI raiding Mar-a-Lago had something to do with January 6th. No, it did not. It had something to do with classified documents that may or may not be in possession at Mar-a-Lago. This is the reality, okay? These type of things usually happen, especially with people who are formerly presidents or formerly in office. And usually the FBI just communicates with them and they hand over and exchange documents. And President Trump and his officials have said that they have been complying with anything and everything the FBI has requested for them. And they would be willing to if they just asked. So why couldn't the FBI have just asked for documents if they were so concerned? Well, it's because they want to make a big political stir in the media to get people ready, prime the pump for people to be able to accept that we're likely to see an indictment against President Trump. Because remember, folks, okay, and I've got high-level sources telling me that it's very possible that we may see them actually indict President Trump. Does an indictment mean that President Trump actually did something illegal? No, absolutely not. Why? Because you can indict a ham sandwich, okay? It's very easy to get an indictment on someone, and then later, whether the charges stick or not, oh well, they can just indict whoever they want. That's how it works in the Justice Department. And, I think that they should definitely change some of that with their secret grand juries and whatnot, making it so that you can have these one-sided grand juries in secret and don't have to present any other evidence that may support that the person's innocent. They can just dogpile whatever slanted, false, baloney evidence they want in order to get an indictment. Just like we found out with the whole Russia collusion episode last time, how they kicked off the whole Russia collusion investigation with a bunch of bogus, baloney information and evidence. And these judges actually granted warrants to spy on Trump based on a bunch of baloney. They know the tricks of the trade, and this is exactly what they're doing. They're abusing the Justice Department in order to go after their political enemies. Now, just after President Trump was raided, President Trump released his dramatic political video, which is pretty much priming us for his announcement of his 2024 run. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this powerful video that was released by President Trump. Here we go.
Slide. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in over 40 years, where the stock market just finished the worst first half of a year in more than 5 decades. We are a nation that has the highest energy cost in its history, and we are no longer energy independent or energy dominant, which we were just 2 short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for oil. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. We're a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. We've never seen anything like this. We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is about all you get. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before, where the economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it's taken from the United States to build a military to rival our own. We are a nation that over the past 2 years is no longer respected or listened to all around the world. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty and freedom and faith. We are a nation whose economy is floundering, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every list. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. But soon we will have greatness again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it is hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. Ever, ever, ever. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never, ever back down. We will never let you down as long as we are confident and united. The tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a little chance. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone. And it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again.
What a powerful video by President Trump. I would definitely say that President Trump is planning to run again in 2024. That is what can obviously be read from that video. And I think that making America great again is definitely needed now that we've had a couple years of the Biden administration and the Democrats in power. I mean, geez Louise, we still have a couple more years of being stuck with Biden, and it's already this bad. So I can't even imagine how much worse it's possibly going to get under the Biden administration. So we're also seeing the never Trumpers, the rhinos, outraged about President Trump having his home being raided by the FBI. So this might actually backfire big time for the Democrats. This might actually have won Trump the 2024 nomination amongst the Republicans. And that's what the rhinos are now upset about, because I'm sure they had some kind of contender, someone that they were going to throw into the ring, possibly Mike Pence, the backstabber. And now they're realizing there's not a chance that anyone is going to be able to beat out President Trump in the primaries, because Trump has been made into a martyr by the Democrats. He's a symbol of rebellion. He's a symbol of disobedience to the tyranny that they are trying to uh, oppress Americans with, this horrific tyranny where we're now even seeing with their latest bill, them talking about how they want to hire 87,000 more IRS agents to target people. Now, before we get into that, let's first talk a little bit about the hypocrisy of the Democrats. The hypocrisy in that you see them going after conservatives and President Trump for the littlest things. Meanwhile, Hunter Biden, his laptop, they've done nothing with it, okay? He's literally being shown in these laptop videos doing drugs with prostitutes, measuring out his crack rocks. I kid you not. Tons of video footage of him high, videos and communications with minors that were entirely inappropriate. Some of this stuff, obviously, people didn't share out there on the internet because they didn't want to be engaging in a crime just by sharing it. But there was tons of illegal activity inside these laptops. And how on earth are the Democrats able to just sweep this under the rug? The mainstream media covers for them, and the DOJ and the FBI cover for the Biden administration as well. The fact alone that we don't see Hunter Biden being arrested right now and being thrown in jail for the contents of his laptop is all I need to see in the unequal protection of the law, in the hypocrisy, the double standard, rules for thee and none for me. That is what we're seeing here. We're seeing the corrupt cabal of career criminals who have been edging their way up into power positions within the DOJ and the FBI. This is unbelievable, the corruption we're dealing with. And this is why Trump has talked and spoken about drain the swamp. This is something we all need to be thinking about. We have to drain the swamp. It's not just about the White House or people in these political positions. We actually have to have a full-on investigation into the FBI. I say we defund the FBI. I know that the Democrats talk a lot about, oh, defund the police, defund the police. We need to defund some of these federal agencies that are abusing Americans and targeting Americans. Project Veritas recently had an expose where they had somebody who had gotten inside the FBI and released documents that actually showed how the FBI was targeting conservative groups and people with patriot in their name. This is disturbing, okay? Very disturbing. They are after us. It's not just about President Trump. So here's a video clip of Chuck Grassley exposing this double standard in a congressional committee hearing. So here we go. Let's take a look at this clip.
Going to open an investigation, you have to do it the right way. It appears that the right way was not done. So let's contrast this investigation with what the FBI has done with allegedly criminal information received from numerous sources related to Hunter Biden. Simply put, the FBI shut down investigative activity. In August of 2020, the FBI supervisory intelligence analyst opened an assessment. This August 2020 assessment served as the vehicle by which the FBI headquarters team falsely labeled Hunter Biden information as you-know-what disinformation. As just one example, to make my concern clear, in October 2020, an avenue of reporting on Hunter Biden was ordered closed. That Hunter Biden information related to potential criminal activity. According to whistleblowers, the reporting was either verified or verifiable via criminal search warrants. But it was shut down on the basis of it being at risk of disinformation. Based on allegations, the evidence didn't support that finding. So let's look at both of these fact patterns. On the one hand, the FBI greenlit a full investigation into Trump based on liberal news articles and information derived from liberal nonprofits. On the other hand, the FBI closed investigative activities and sources that provided verified or verifiable reporting on Hunter Biden. Director Wray, you'll have to explain to the committee and to the country how you'll manage this mess and how you'll clean house.
Well, clearly, Director Wray is not on the side of justice and the American people, because he is the one who allowed for this to happen. Under his watch, President Trump was raided by the FBI. It's absolutely disgusting. And, you know, I was even targeted by the justice, the criminal justice system, okay, by a Democrat prosecutor. How I was arrested and I was defamed because they can indict a ham sandwich, remember? And they even sent CPS agents to try to take my children away. And the CPS agents turned up to the meeting turning the county I live in blue t-shirts. I kid you not. That is how disgusting it is getting right now in this day and age where we're seeing these political witch hunts. Thank God they did not prevail. Thank God I was vindicated. All charges against me dropped, okay? Thank God my children are still with me and they failed in their attempt to steal them away. We all know about the missing children in the foster care system, okay? Disgusting and disturbing. And if you think this is just about them coming after President Trump, you are dead wrong. They're coming after you. They're coming after me. They're coming after all Americans because they want to wage their tyrannical Marxist system down on us all and turn us into a bunch of working class slaves, okay? They want us to just do whatever they want as they act like dictators from a high and redistribute everyone's wealth. That is what it is about. And if you had any doubt that that's what it was about, go read up on this recent bill that was passed. This historic bill to stop inflation. The Democrats' Inflation Reduction Act, okay? They just recently passed this bill. Why? Because they're saying, oh no, this is going to stop the inflation problem that we created, mind you. Okay? So the Senate passes this bill, which now basically means that it's going to be passed to the House. They did it in the Senate first, okay? Because that was the harder one to try to nail down. But now they're definitely kicking it to the House, and it's looking like it's definitely going to be passed and voted into law. Here's the problem with this bill, okay? They are now going to be spending more money, okay? $430 billion for climate change. Well, wait a second. The name of this bill is the Inflation Reduction Act. How are we going to reduce inflation? By printing more money, of course, right? Like, they always name the titles of these bills and acts that they have the exact opposite of what it's actually going to do, okay? So when they're saying Inflation Reduction Act, they're actually saying we're going to create more inflation because we're going to print a bunch of money. $430 billion of money is now going to have to go towards climate change. Okay, I kid you not. And $60 billion is going to go to climate injustice, social injustice and climate, okay? And a good percentage of that is going to go towards trying to incentivize and basically coerce Americans into having green energy appliances, having electric vehicles in order to get tax breaks. All the while in this bill, you know, we thought this was about inflation. No, this is actually a landmark victory for the Democrats. They're now applauding and praising their victory and getting in some of the most progressive climate policies than they have in decades. Okay? This is a climate bill disguised as an inflation bill, guys. This is really bad. Historic climate bill to supercharge clean energy industry. Well, wait, is this some new bill? No, this is the Democrats' Inflation Reduction Act. They hid the climate stuff inside the bill. It's a massive climate bill where they're going to be spending billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in the name of climate change. enforcing climate change policies on us, and developing technologies that will help ensure the lowering of carbon emissions and carbon footprints. Does that sound familiar, right? Help develop technologies such as carbon capture and sequestration. They snuck it in under everyone's nose. Everyone's focusing right now on the tax part of this bill, right? Because you have, I mean, this is scary in itself, $80 billion going towards a massive IRS overhaul in this bill, which even Elon Musk, the billionaire, one of the richest people in the world, said that seems high. That's a lot of money for the IRS, okay? That's a ton of money for the IRS. So what is scary about this is that it says Musk's reaction to the IRS funding was in response to a report by the Washington Free Beacon, which found the tax agency's expensive hiring spree would make it larger than the Pentagon, the State Department, the FBI, and Customs and U.S. Border Patrol combined. Why on earth do we need the IRS to be that large? Think about it. Well, if you want to turn America into a communist country, I guess you would have to do that, right? To ensure the redistribution of wealth, to ensure that the IRS can go after all of you, to squeeze you and hang you upside down by your ankles, to shake the money out of your pockets, to destroy the working class, to destroy the middle class. That is their goal. They want to destroy the middle class. Says that this would allow the IRS to hire up to 87,000 additional agents. That is disturbing in itself. Why is it disturbing? Why? Well, one, they just, in this bill, they just agreed to pay hundreds of billions of dollars, $360 or so billion in climate change, right? Printing more money. But how do they plan to pay for it? To beef up the IRS and to shake us all down for it. That's how they plan to combat the inflation problem, by shaking the middle class down, shaking us all down for the tax money. And not only that, but the reason why it's really truly scary is because the IRS has a history now of targeting conservatives. Under the Obama, which remember, Obama-Biden administration, the IRS targeted conservative organizations, any conservative groups that use the words like Tea Party or Patriot in their names were targeted by the IRS, to which they had to sue, and then in the legal settlement, the IRS ended up having to apologize to these groups for targeting them. So a group called Lynchpins of Liberty was targeted, and along with 40 other conservative groups. And then in a second case, NorCal Tea Party Patriots, they were targeted, along with 427 other patriot groups. So this was an abuse of power, okay? Absolutely an abuse of power. The Justice Department was quoted Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, as saying there is no excuse for this conduct. Hundreds of organizations were affected by these organizations, and they deserve an apology from the IRS. We hope that today's settlement makes clear that this abuse of power will not be tolerated. Well, I hope not, because it happened under the Biden administration, the Obama-Biden administration, which now we're seeing the Biden administration beef up the IRS. Meanwhile, we're seeing political witch hunts against their political rivals and opponents. Gee, you don't think the IRS is going to be used to go after and target the people that they don't like, the people that actually vote for their political opponents and rivals? So a member of the GOP leadership has warned and said that the IRS could bully the middle class and target conservatives if Manchin passes the bill. So the GOP's warning, this could end up being targeted. You know, this could mean more targeting of conservatives if this bill passes. And that was my initial first thought as well. They are probably going to be using this beefing up of the IRS to target conservatives. So this is another article which evidences how the IRS targeted the conservative groups in 2012, right, for tax scrutiny in the 2012 election. Any of the groups that had Tea Party or Patriot in their names were targeted. I mean, this is a serious issue. So if they can use the FBI to then go raid President Trump, why couldn't they use the IRS to go target conservative families, right? I mean, who knows? If they get enough criminal acts against enough conservatives over tax issues, maybe they can sway the vote into their direction. I don't know. If it's going to be that big, you'd have to think, well, that would have to be really big. That would have to be a big venture for them to be able to pull something like that off. Well, $80 billion is pretty big for a budget for the IRS, wouldn't you say? 87,000 new IRS agents is pretty big, wouldn't you say? I mean, that's insane. You don't need that many IRS agents to just process the taxes. I mean, it's definitely alarming. I'm sure all of you guys are equally as concerned as I am with the current abuses of justice going on in the country right now. And the reality is what do we do, right? That's the question we ask ourselves. What do we do in a time like this? Well, one thing I will say is I believe, after talking to sources I know and really investigating the current situation with them targeting President Trump over January 6th, is that they are trying to incite the conservative base. They want to create, and they've long wanted to create, an extremist right-wing problem in America, meaning they want to be able to say, oh, there's a terrorist organization, right? There's a conservative right-wing terrorist group that we need to all crack down on. We need to have the FBI investigating and infiltrating and going after these people, these groups, so that we could be put on FBI terrorist watch lists. That's what they want to do. So keep that in mind when they have this plan to try to indict your president, to get you incited, to get you angry, to get you out in the streets protesting, because it's very easy for them then to send in their agitators, their provocateurs to these protests in order then to steer them into a violent direction. I know that some states such as Ohio, have been trying to pass legislation that would criminalize the leaders of protest groups if anyone attending their protest went violent or caused property damage. And so you see the rhinos actually pushing for this type of legislation, and they're saying they're doing it to crack down on groups like those who rioted over George Floyd, right? But as you can see, there's a corruption problem within the rhinos and the Democrats, so they walk their plan up to us in a left-right fashion, like an animal with a left foot and a right foot, one step at a time. They edge closer, okay, for enacting their police state, enacting their tyranny. So we have to be careful as to how we tread, and we have to make sure that we are doing everything by the book and paying very close attention to the detail and the law. We have to be smarter. We have to outsmart them in that we get more political. We volunteer at the polls. We make sure we're turning out to vote. We make sure we're watching what's happening on election day at the polls, becoming poll watchers, okay? We have to energize ourselves, go out and meet people, talk to people, provide people with information, because in a large way, they have shut down our ability to get information out to each other by shutting us down with the algorithms on social media, censoring and banning people on social media. They control Silicon Valley, the leftists in Silicon Valley largely control tech and social media platforms. So it's important that we reach out to the people that are still in their echo chambers as much as we can, and not just only be inside of our new conservative social media platform echo chambers. We have to reach out to people, communicate with people. So that's just my take on it. That's my advice on it. So stay smart out there, guys. Don't fall for any of their traps like many of the poor people did with J6. They happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And we don't want to see more people get set up like that. So we have to play smart. So keep your heads cool at this time, guys, but stay vigilant. I'm Millie Weaver.